All right, we'll call to order the January 4th, 2022 full city council meeting. The clerk will call the roll to record attendance.
Anderson-Burgos.
Here.
Bartley.
Here.
Givner.
Here.
Jourdain.
Here.
Maldonado Velez.
Presente.
McGee.
Here.
McGivern.
Here.
Murphy Rumboletti.
Here.
Puello.
Here.
Israel Rivera.
Presente.
Jenny Rivera.
Here.
Tolman.
Here.
Vacon.
Here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God bless America.
The City of Hoyoke.
And the City Council.
First, some quick housekeeping before we start. Tomorrow will be a full face mask mandate throughout the city, but for the council, I was Sean from Board of Health, as well as the mayor, reached out saying in the chambers we have to keep the masks on. That was a request from yesterday, so I'm just sending that message. And tomorrow will be a full mandate throughout the city. The interpreters are not here today; they are zooming in, so there could be potentially, hopefully not, an issue with them being able to hear us and then fully interpret. Please understand it's being recorded. If something is missed, they will come back and interpret it, and we'll have it for the full record. But normally they're hearing back and they are interpreting, but there is a COVID protocol for them as well going on right now. That's why that's happening. Trying to think here. Oh, at home, you might receive text saying they can't hear us. There is an issue, Scott told me, with regards to the volume. Somehow streaming out of here to home. So if you start getting the text, just understand they're trying to fix it. It may not be fixed, so the people at home may not hear us. Just letting you know. So I know a lot of times we get those texts. With that, is there a motion, Councilor Tallman?
Yeah, just on the mask mandate, Mr. President, I believe it's on Thursday the 6th.
Okay, I thought it was Thursday the 6th then.
Yeah. And could I make a motion to accept the rules and orders of the City Council?
Second.
The motion is to accept the rules for the City Council. That was seconded. Under discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? I know the clerk sent those out, but if you are looking for another copy of that, we can have it emailed over to you, so that way you do have them. With that, there was one item that was supposed to be laid on the table. It didn't show up on the agenda for, not sure the issue. Well, I guess there was confusion, to be totally honest, where was it supposed to go to ordinance, was it not to? And that was the wage theft law.
It's an ordinance, Mr.
I
President.
think it was sent back to committee.
So when looking at the film, it shows, and Jeffrey, correct me if I'm wrong, it shows that after much debate, it was finally laid on the table.
Oh.
So there was the assumption back and forth that it went to committee, but after review, it was laid on the table. It's not on today's agenda, so I guess one issue is the open meeting law, saying that since it's not there, do you just carry it over to the next meeting in order to be compliance there?
I guess.
Okay. So with that, we'll leave that there and carry it over to the next meeting and then post it correctly. Next is the item 1, which is the Committee on Ordinance who's wait, that was the one? Wait a minute, let me see. No, okay. I just want to make sure I'm on the right page here. Item 1 is the Committee on Ordinance who was referred, Chapter 2, Article 2, Administrative Assistant to the City Council. Duties in general would be amended to add the categories of pertaining to management, updating the city webpage, social media accounts, and that was recommended that be adopted. I do know that this was tabled simply because we wanted to get the mayor's opinion on it. And the mayor is here, so we could suspend the rules.
Suspend the rules to have the mayor speak?
Well,
Second.
do we need to take a motion to take it off the table?
We are. I just want to make sure everyone knows that
okay.
what happened, because that was also the meeting that this went back and forth a little bit, and there was questions to have the mayor here. So
I'll make a motion to remove it from the table for
motion
discussion.
is moved from the table.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion was to have the mayor speak. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And here to the mayor.
Evening.
Hello, how we doing? Yeah, Jeff and I we spoke briefly about it, and what it comes down to is just being clear in the responsibility of the individual in working with departments, including the mayor's office. I didn't want it to be any politics involved as far as, this is who has control, direct control over what goes on the website, kind of a thing. So I was thinking that in the spirit of trying to de-escalate any of that from happening, maybe just including in there in the job description that the individual will be working collaboratively with the mayor's office, with department heads, with how we get content onto the website. But other than that, we're game. It's all good.
Okay, any questions on this one?
I mean, if everybody feels comfortable, Mr. President, to approve this, maybe we can get the language from the mayor, add that, and then we move forward and adopt it.
We do have the ordinance as it was drafted last time. Mayor, do you want something else added to this?
The collaborative language.
You want the collaborative language added to this?
I was hoping that we'd already have something presented before you would have, but it looks like that didn't happen. So.
Okay, no, that's fine. So why don't we just leave this on the table with the request for legal to update it according to
All right.
what you're asking,
Sounds good.
okay?
All right. Make a motion to put it back on the table?
All those in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Public comment, we do have one person signed up for public comment in the chamber. That is Owen Broadhurst. As a reminder, is there anyone online? And there will be 3 online. Just understand that for public comment, it's 1 minute, 30 seconds. At about the minute marker, I'll just give you a friendly reminder, and then you'll have to wrap up. Owen, I turn it over to you. Is the microphone on, just to make sure?
I can't hear him.
Owen Broaders, 1328 Northampton Street.
Thank you.
This new city council was elected to get things done, and it can do this if it gets out of its very own way. That means amending the rules by which it operates. With a supermajority, you can amend those rules today. Rule 38 eliminates supermajority requirement for third reading, except where state law commands. Rule 44A eliminates supermajority requirement for council to discharge a matter from committee. Rule 35 and 66 pass item 35 as Councilor Juan Anderson-Burgos proposed at the last meeting last year. Rule 61 pass item 36 as Councilor Juan Anderson-Burgos proposed at the last meeting last year. You may then freely scrap Ordinance 2-69 in its entirety, pass the wage theft ordinance, abolish all and any panhandling ordinances, establish safe injection sites,
We are at a minute.
pass the typographical error correction observed by former Councilor Lisi. You have the numbers. With a supermajority vote, you can entertain and effectuate all of these rule changes today. You just lost an opportunity, but you can still take advantage of it. You need but suspend the rules. Have a good night. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Online?
Oh,
Nan-
hi, my name is, hi, can you hear
Nancy?
me?
Yep, Nancy?
Yeah, that's me, I'm not a pug. But, my name's Nancy Capron, and I live at 72 Congress Ave, in Holyoke, Massachusetts. And, I've got, 3 things I want to say, so I'm going to try to do it fast. So, marijuana does smell. In Denver, in November 2016, they tightened up their requirements to mitigate smells, not just for the marijuana industry, but they also have food production, a couple other kind of factories there. And as of 2020, in a newspaper article, they're still struggling. Chemicals are their biggest smell factor. And then the second most frequently complained are marijuana smells. So that they smell, these companies know they smell, there are mitigation plans that they should have in place. So I don't care what you do, but it does create a smell, right? So the ordinance about, the order about financial literacy is classist and lacks a thorough analysis.
We are at a minute.
Okay, because the poverty is caused by by public policy and not by personal failure. And so to intimate that people don't understand money and that's why they're poor is offensive and classist. And it's ridiculous. And then the third thing that I want to say is, I was looking at, there's an article today about, are 3D printed homes are way out of the housing crisis.
You're at your time,
Good.
just to let you know.
All right,
Wrap
thanks.
up. Okay,
All right, bye.
next. Jose Estrada?
Hello, my name is Jose Adastra. I'd like to second everything that Owen said.
Just need
Address.
you need your address, please.
Yeah, 139 Hillside Avenue. I grew up in Holyoke. I just moved back to Holyoke now with my family. And I've been very aware and in tune with its problems since I was a child. I think it's really important that we follow Northampton's lead and establish a Department of Community Care, a department that's an alternative to the police. We know that here and across the nation that Black and Latinx and Native men are overrepresented in the prison. They're overrepresented in the Massachusetts prison. And these are figures from the Rivera Institute of Justice that were acquired from the U.S. Bureau of Justice. 7% of the state population, Black men, 27% of the prison population, 11% of the state population, Latinx, 26% of the prison population. Black people are incarcerated at 5.9 times the rate as white people. Native people at 4.5 times the rate. We need an alternative that is led by people from our demographic, that aren't cops, that they're peer responders, that they have resources that they can dole out to the families that are in need. COVID isn't ending now. The families are going to be in need continuously. Kids are going to be in need. We need a department that's not the police, that has power to distribute funds and help during a mental health crisis.
We are at our
or
time.
just in general.
That is our time.
Thank you.
Thank you. John Rivera?
Hello, John Rivera, otherwise known by JR, 2 Laurel Street, taxpayer. I'd like to congratulate all the new city councilors. You guys will do hopefully an outstanding job. Each and every one of you are outstanding individuals, and I trust and I feel very well assured that good progress will be made in Holyoke. I'd like to second all that Owen said. I'd like to second all that Nancy said. And I'd like to second all that Jose said as well. I'd like to speak about the COVID issue. COVID is still a deadly virus. If anything, it's deadlier now. I request that this mask mandate stays permanently up until we can have a full control over the virus. I know that probably won't happen under the conditions that we live in, but it's better safe to be sorry. A lot of my friends are currently either hospitalized of it or
We are at a minute.
and it's very scary. So it's still very real, and I hope that we can keep this mask mandate and increase all further precautions against this deadly pandemic. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. And that's it. All right, and that is it for public comment, both in the chamber as well as online. Now to communications. We have a list of appointments for 2022. The administrative assistant, 1-year term to end January 2023. That currently held by Jeffery Anderson-Burgos, 236 Locust Ave. The assessor, vacant. Water commissioner, vacant. And the Whiting Street fund, which is Maria Burke, 290 Cabot Street. That would be a 3-year term to January 2023.
On the administrative assistant, Mr. President, make a motion to move to the first ballot.
Second that.
Motion is to go to the first ballot for the administrative assistant. The clerk will call the roll. You state the name of the person you want. Whoever gets 7 votes will be appointed.
Are we going in alphabetical order for this, or are we starting with the person we drew?
Oh, I forgot to mention that. Thank you. So we pull a name at the start of the meeting as to when we go for the vote and to see who will go first. So it always doesn't go to the first person in the alphabet. So the name that was pulled first tonight was Will. Councilor Puello, you will be voting first.
Mr. President,
Yes.
just a point of inquiry. I believe on appointments, we go in alphabetical order.
Okay.
by
You can do it
rule.
that way.
No,
Or you want it? No? Okay.
well, I
Normally, it would go by the name pulled. So, but we have suspend the rules to go alphabetical to do it that way, but will the body, what would you like to do?
well,
Councilman
I'd like
Farley?
to just go with what we always do, which
Okay.
is to say we're just going to go in alphabetical order.
Am I going
For
alphabetical
the
order?
first person pulled. So
Okay, so-
that's what we do.
Historically, Counselor McGivern is correct.
Correct. And then we
For ballot, for
balloting.
voting on these.
So let's go in alphabetical order, make it
But I
easy.
think we determined at one of our meetings that that wasn't written in any rules, so that's why I was asking.
It's not in a rule.
Yeah.
So it's a made-up rule. So that's why we pull the names, because that is our rule,
Yeah.
and so we'll just go in order that way.
So we're going to go alphabetical order.
Mr. President,
Yep,
I'm not making up a rule. I'm just talking about a precedent that's been
Right,
set
correct.
for a reason.
yep. So go with the precedent on this one to keep it simple. Go alphabetical order.
Anderson-Burgos?
Abstain.
Abstain.
Oh, right. Bartley?
Jeff Anderson-Burgos.
Givner?
Jeff Anderson-Burgos.
Jordan?
Jeffrey Anderson-Burgos.
Maldonado-Velez?
Jeff Anderson-Burgos.
McGee?
Jeffery Anderson-Burgos.
McGivern? Murphy Rumboletti?
Jeffrey Anderson-Burgos.
Puello?
Jeffrey Anderson-Burgos.
Israel Rivera?
Jeffrey Anderson-Burgos.
Jenny Rivera?
Jeffrey Anderson-Burgos.
Tallman?
Jeffery Anderson-Burgos.
Bacon?
Jeffrey Anderson-Burgos.
Jeffrey Anderson-Burgos appointed on the first ballot for administrative assistant.
Congratulations. With that, we go on to the assessor. It's vacant. This one, I do
Go to the
believe
first
they're
ballot?
advertising. Do you want to go to a ballot?
I don't think we have any candidates.
I don't think we
No,
have.
that's because we appointed
Deb.
Or
Deb
the
to
Chief Assessor.
to
Chief.
the chief, and they're advertising now, and we haven't gotten that due to the time crunch that came to.
So I recommend we table assessor until
So
we get some.
motion is to table the assessor until we get applications. Counselor,
And I would suggest if we could add that we would advertise for the position through the Human Resource Department.
and that was requested when we did that with Deb. But I'll follow up with her to make sure it's done. So motion is to table assessor. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Guys
President?
have it. Counselor Tallman.
Yes, could I, on the next one, the Water Commissioner, since we have a few candidates and we have several new councilors here, if I could have suspend the rules and have Mr. Conti, the manager of the Water Department, speak before us if we have any questions for him.
So motion is to suspend the rules to allow Dave Conti to speak and answer any questions of the
Second.
counselors.
Second.
Yes. I'm in favor of that, but under discussion, could I
Under
just
discussion,
make?
Councilor
Yeah, one comment, Mr. President, is just so folks understand, and I don't know if Dave's going to get into this about the specifics, but we have 2 openings, and I would encourage the city council to approve the 2 openings tonight. There's a 1-year seat left. That's the remainder. That, I think we can take these off when we're speaking, correct, Mr.
I think
President?
the way it was told is that when you're speaking, but then when you're done, just
Put it back on, okay. I find it difficult to speak when I have that on. That we have a 1-year seat, that is the remainder left from Commissioner Barrett, who passed away's seat. That's one. And then we have the normal 3-year seat, which is the one that I just vacated. That is the one that's normally and would be the one that we're voting on tonight, so we should approve that as well. Having said that, though, I should also point out, I resigned a month early. People need to be aware, water commissioners don't technically start until February. So I resigned that position early to become a member of the council. So there's still a month left to that seat. So I would encourage that whoever we're going to put into the 3-year seat, that we also give them the extra month so that they can start early. But we really should approve the 3-year seat and the 1-year seat tonight so that the board can have 3 members. So I did want to just point that out, and I'd love to hear whatever the manager also has to add. Thank you.
Councilor Murphy-Ramboletti?
Yeah, I can definitely appreciate the need to extend the 3-year term by a month. That makes a lot of sense. And of course, I'll wait to hear what Mr. Conti has to say, but I do think there's been a lot of interest in this position, and there's been a lot of candidates who have reached out to us. And also, I'm not entirely sure how it's being advertised. So I do think while I can definitely appreciate the need to appoint someone soon, I think it's really important that we have the opportunity to communicate with these candidates. So that's just my 2 cents.
Councilor Anderson-Burgos?
So I totally agree with Councilor Ramboletti. I will say that, to be fair to the new elected officials, they should see how this process is, how this process is run. So, to be fair, I would say to send this to public service so that, we have time, or they have time to look over the resumes. I did take out the time out of my day today to reach out to Dave Conti, and I asked him if there were any pressuring issues that would require us to take a vote tonight, and he assured me that there was none. So I think it's in the best interest for not just the city, but for the newly elected officials, for us to hold off and send this to committee so that it can be voted on.
Councilor Vacon?
Thank you, Mr. President. I do respect that perspective of the new councilors. I would just note that in particular, relative to the position that needs to be filled for Water Commissioner Barrett, that those applicants filed their applications months ago, and we've also had in our city challenges recruiting people to participate on our various commissions. And I'm not sure what the reason for it is, but the first 2 applicants have been sitting in committee for months. And I do think it's very problematic when we have a commission that doesn't even have a quorum. So I would urge us to at least fill one of the slots, maybe the 1-year slot tonight, and then leave it to the committee for the other one, so at least we would have a quorum on the commission as perhaps a compromise action. Thank you.
Councilor Jordan?
If there's nobody else, Mr. President. Yeah, I was just going to make the point about we really need to have a functioning body. You don't even have enough members now to meet. So literally the commission will not be able to meet in the month of January at all if we don't appoint at least one person to be on the board. Again, I believe we're suspended the rules to hear the manager, but this is the night that we always vote on the 3-year seat for the commission. That's not anything new this year. There's 3 commissioners on a 3-year rotation. We always vote at the first meeting, and that's been going on from time immemorial. I don't think we've ever sent it to committee to debate. And the 1-year seat, I can see why that's in committee because of the fact that we were looking for applicants to fill a vacancy. That makes all the sense in the world, but this is when we always vote on these the 3-year seat, but whatever. But I do want people to be aware that until we appoint at least one more person, the commission cannot meet and do its work. And there's a lot of things going on in the department that you certainly need a functioning water commission. It's a very important role. Thank you.
All right, so Councilor Tallman, then Councilor Anderson-Burgos.
Yeah, I just want to state, and I respect everybody's opinion here, and we have several new councilors, and normally when we do appoint somebody, we have, usually it's a 3-year term, the person that's been there was there for 3 years, and it's just reappointing. Tonight, we have an opportunity to really look at the candidates, to interview the candidates, and see what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and how they can help the department. And normally, like as I said, I've been here several years that we've, somebody's up for a 3-year term, they get reappointed. They do the job, they get reappointed. We have 7 new councilors. We have at least 3, possibly 4 candidates for Water Commission. And I'd just like to hear from, I talked to Manager Conti today, earlier, and I'd like to hear what he has to say if there definitely is a need. You know, I will go along with that and appoint at least one commissioner, but I'd like to hear what he has to say. If there's not a need, if we can hold off. My preference is to have the interviews of the candidates with all the new councilors here to see how the process works and to really sit down and talk to them and then make a sound decision on somebody's appointment, whether it's 1 year or 3 years, to serve on the water board.
Councilor McGivern?
Thank you, Mr. President. The Water Commission will reorganize on February 4th, as Councilor Janine pointed out, and on that date, they need to have a quorum to elect the president and to conduct business. There is a tremendous amount of activity in the water department right now, and I agree that we need a commission that is ready to work with the manager. I too spoke with the manager, and I think, you know, before we make a decision, we should listen to what he has to say this evening. But I want to point out that on the agenda tonight is the 3-year term. That's the only thing on the agenda, because that's what we do every organizational meeting for ourselves. I like Councilor Vacon's idea, you know, to do the 1-year term, but I'm not sure if we would be allowed to do just one. I think in fairness to the candidates who have had their resumes before us, we have to vote on both positions on the same evening. And I think that's important, and I'll explain that later when I speak about the candidates that I wish to vote for. Although I'm prepared to vote for this evening, I think we have some leeway to wait 2 weeks, but we can't wait much longer than 2 weeks. The other unknown here, is there a public service committee that will be able to have a meeting within, you know, 1 week? I don't think we'll have time to advertise, but is there a public service committee that will be able to take this up before our next meeting is the other question.
Committee assignments will be coming out.
I've heard that before.
Oh, yeah. prior presidents. Just kidding. So kidding. It's a tough crowd.
That was me or you.
It's a tough crowd. Councilor Anderson-Burgos.
So, thank you. I want to say I do respect everyone's opinion. I really do. But the way I look at it, you know, this is a very extreme, important role. It's the lifeline, right? It's water. It's what we use every single day to bathe our children, to drink, to cook. It's a very extreme and important role within our city services. So I can't express my concern how important it is for these newly elected officials to go through the process and to diligently read through the resumes and see which candidates actually fit into these roles. This is a very, very, very important role, and I can't express that enough. Thank you.
All right, so the motion, and it was seconded, is to allow Mr. Conte to come up and answer your questions. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So Dave, if you can come up, and now I'm going to turn over to Councilor McGivern. There is a applicant that is on here that I do have relation with. It's my brother-in-law, of which I did speak with state ethics. They said when you're getting into the actual discussing of it with the water department and then ultimately voting on it, that I should just take a step away. So that's what I'll do here. I'll turn it over to Councilor McGivern.
Chair, recognize Mr. Conti as the motion to suspend and allow him to speak. Is all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
Good evening.
Evening.
I'm here tonight in case there's any questions with regards to the department's operations in absence of the two commission. At this point in time, the reorganizational meeting is held the first Monday in February, which means any subsequent meetings would not take place till the second Monday in February. So as long as the city council understands that we will not be holding any commission meetings that require any decision making for the next 6 weeks, then the department will do its best to make sure that the department operates and functions properly in absence of those commission members.
Do you have any questions for Mr. Conti? Councilor Tallman?
Yeah, thank you, Dave, for coming down, for the work you do for the commission and the water department. So you're saying that if we can get this, at least one person on by February, that the water department will be okay as far as meetings and running the department with just one commissioner?
That would be ideal. With 2 commission members, I can hold a reorganizational meeting, and we can schedule the meetings as we typically do for the various months moving forward.
Okay. So if we do have the interviews sometime in January, possibly have our first meeting in February, we can appoint a commissioner, we could just appoint one and not 2 at that time? And then wait till maybe the following month to appoint another commissioner? Or would you prefer to have 2 of them appointed that night?
I would, if you're going to make one appointment, sooner than later would be better. If you're going to make 2 appointments, then those 2 appointments should be made before February 4th, so that we can have a full board for the first meeting in February.
Okay, so, and other than that, you can run the department with the one commissioner up until the reorganizational meeting, which you said is the first Monday or the second Monday in February?
Reorganizational meeting is the first Monday.
First Monday.
Yep. And we have some important issues that are coming before the board, and it would be in the department's best interest to have the full board available for that second meeting in February.
Okay.
Councilor Jordan?
Yeah. So David, isn't it accurate to say, now again, I want to just say, if we want to send this all to committee, that's fine. I have no problem with that. But I just want people to understand when we make decisions, the ramifications of the decisions isn't it accurate to say that the commission would not be able to meet? So when we say the department will get by, of course it'll get by. I mean, you do a fantastic job. Your staff does an amazing job. So you can survive without the commission meeting, I would assume. But we can't make any decisions. No abatement request could be considered. No guidance could be given to you. No approvals of anything could be done until some point in the second meeting of February. So you're talking the 3rd week of February, as opposed to having no meetings in January. It isn't often that isn't that accurate that it isn't often that the commission would go 6 weeks without meeting?
It's very unusual. And this would be the first time as a manager of the department, 30 years that I've seen the department with just one commissioner.
Okay. So I just want everybody to understand, the commission cannot meet until we have at least 2 commissioners. And I would suggest that, I don't know how much time we need to research all these candidates, but I would hope everybody will do their homework. If everybody feels comfortable, let's send it to committee and go ahead and do that. But, you know, we got to be prepared, I would say, for our next meeting, okay, in 2 weeks to you know, do our due diligence, study all the candidates and move forward so that this department can meet and function and do what it has to do. That's my only suggestion. But Dave, thank you. As always, you'll get through whatever the council chooses to do. Thank you.
Councilor Anderson-Burgos?
Dave, thank you so much for coming tonight. I've been thinking about the roles, and I want to ask you, I know it's city council that, you know, we take on the role of taking the candidates, picking them, and then sending them to you. But what part of the process do we, as city council, ask you, out of all the candidates, which candidates do you feel fit for these roles? Because I don't feel comfortable. We're city councilors, and each and every single one of us plays a different role in our lifestyle, whether a banker or work for the state or whatever it is. We are not professionals in that department. So I feel that it is important for you to be part of that process in picking these candidates, because at the end of the day, it is your department that helps function not just the best drinking water, but a very well-run department. And I think it is important that you're part of that process. So I'm asking you, have you ever been part of that process? I don't think that it is. I feel that we sit here, we say, hey, this is who I want, and this is who I want. And we'll sit here all day, but at the end of the day, you're the one that's going to have to work with these people. I think it's important for you to be part of this process, and we need to see that happen, like, soon.
Well, I have never been part of the process in the selection of a commission member. I trust the judgment of the city council that you'll make the right choice. And the only concern I have is getting involved in the selection process. If one of the candidates I recommend is not chosen and another one I recommend is chosen, it's going to be difficult working with that individual. That's my only concern, is selection made that I did not recommend, and then how that individual will deal with me moving forward as the manager and him being my supervisor.
I completely understand that, because it's political, right? It's a game. But at the end of the day, the way I see it is the right person for the job. Everything else will just work out. But these are people that work together to make sure that the services that are provided, that come through our faucets and come in through our homes, and are in contact with our children and our families, that is what's important. That process is at its best at all times, and not simply relying on this body to have that adequate, to have that running and function. It's not fair to you, it's not fair to the city, and it's not fair to us. We have to fix this. Thank you.
Councilor Gibner.
I was just wondering, I wanted to second, a lot of the things that Councilor Murphy Ramboletti said. Sorry. And I also was looking at our schedule and realizing that we meet, I believe, on the 18th again. I've gotten I've gotten quite a few emails, more than a few, regarding the water commissioner position. I have been reading through them. There are some really great candidates. I have not had a chance to have more than an email response conversation with them. I had planned on reaching out to them this week to speak in person. I do like Councilor Anderson-Burgos' idea of meeting together at the water department or with water department input. I am not a water professional. I can only read who's an engineer and who's not. But I do think that we're all bright enough to do some research in the next 2 weeks, and if this is something that really needs to happen, I think we can pull something together where we make sure we do what's necessary to understand who these candidates are, what kind of qualifications they have or do not have, so that we can make informed votes when we meet again as a council if we don't think it's the best idea to send it to committee. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilor Bacon?
Thank you. I just have a point of information. So the one-year position that's open was known to be vacant, and the applications were sought in our last session because the position is vacant. So it seems like we have a technical matter before us, in that we should have before us vacant the one-year term and vacant the three-year terms. So hopefully everybody who's new to the council can do their due diligence. It's extremely rare that the full council would ever show up at a public service meeting, but each councilor can reach out to the candidates, and 2 of the candidates were vetted for months by us last year, and some of us reach out to the head of the department in our due diligence, others reach out to the applicants. That's sort of an individual choice, but I found that most department heads are open to having a conversation with us if we are seeking their feedback, in private, not in the public arena. And so I would hope that at our next meeting, we could have both vacancies listed, and everybody would have had an opportunity to do their due diligence and feel informed enough to vote.
Thank you. If I could answer that, Councilor Bacon, on August 3rd, we referred the one-year appointment to the Public Service Committee. I know some work has been done. I know as individuals, we've been had contacts and have done our own research, like Councilor Gibner said herself. So I agree with you. If we're going to wait 2 weeks, we need both of them to be on, to choose, if we're going to have both of them on the ballot. But technically, that's either up to the Public Service Committee to get them out, or us as a body to remove them from the committee. This one is on the table right now, the 3-year. Does that help? Okay. Councilor Jardine.
Would it be wise if we took a motion to remove the other one on the committee and then table both of them tonight? And then we pick this up in 2 weeks, and then we'd have the 3-year and the 1 year? Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to remove the 1-year seat from the Public Service Committee.
I'll second.
I'll second that.
Are we all set with Mr. Conti?
I think so.
Okay, David, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, David.
I have one more piece of information.
Let me just recognize the motion is to remove from committee the 1-year seat. Councilor Gibner.
I was just wondering how people find out about the Water Commission vacancies in order to even put in their letters of interest, because I honestly have no idea where people are coming from. I'm just curious.
It was posted. I don't remember where.
The terms, the vacancy is because of a passing of a commissioner in office, so it was left vacant sometime last year. The 3-year term is up and on the website and everywhere as whether there's an incumbent or in this case, no incumbent, because Councilor Jardine is the one who resigned the upcoming 3-year term, is on the website, and that's the thick of it. We have an option, it does cost money, but when we don't have candidates, we sometimes take the option of advertising. Advertising does take time and does cost money. Councilor Murphy Lamberletti.
I'd just like to, I think that's a good plan moving forward, and I'd just like to say for the record and hopefully going forward, maybe we could utilize some free marketing, whether that's on social media or just, flyers or whatever, so that people can know, because I don't think a lot of folks are really aware of what's available. So I just think this is a good opportunity to make note of that. So thank you.
Councilor Jardine.
I'd just like to say I think that's a great point, and I don't see any reason why we can't put it out there over the next 2 weeks that we're going to be voting on the 18th, and there's these two, a 1-year seat and a 3-year seat. So I don't know if Jeffrey or somebody could put it out that, the council will be voting on these 2 seats in 2 weeks, and maybe we'll get some extra candidates. That would be great.
Yeah.
Councilor Anderson-Burgos.
Couldn't we use Channel 15? I mean, I always see my name and everybody else's name on there. We use that space. We could also use it for advertisement. I mean, that's free, isn't it?
Sure.
We can use anything.
Anything's free for me is good.
And we can pay for ads. It's just a time constraint. I'm not saying we shouldn't pay for ads,
Right.
but we do both.
Thank you.
It depends on the position. When it's a full-time appointment, we tend to advertise for it because it's a career type situation where we're looking for a candidate, not just with qualifications, but someone that understands, because they may be coming from another job. When we do commissioners, it's a part-time. We're looking for qualified people, but oftentimes, and Councilor Jardine and Councilor Gibner make good points, and I agree with you. There are ways to advertise without paying for it, and we could do that over the next 2 weeks.
Perfect. Thank you.
So I take it I'm hearing that we're going to ask our administrative assistant to do whatever social media access channel stuff he can do, and seeing we just adopted him as the webmaster of the city, we know we'll get a good job out of him. Any further discussion? Councilor Bartley.
Yeah, I just want to say I see Councilor Anderson-Burgos' name up there a lot myself. It's probably up there too much.
Yeah.
I do want to just point out that we just appointed one person. As we know, that is an annual appointment. So if we're going to advertise for one, we're going to advertise for everybody.
Yeah.
We already made the appointment now. We took the vote. That's done. And I don't want to redo the vote. I don't want to reconsider it. But if we're going to do this for one department, one city council appointment, we might as well know that we appoint the water commissioners, we appoint the assessors, we appoint the administrative assistant, we appoint several other boards, and now, if we can ever get our act together in Boston, we'll have a supervising approval authority over all boards and commissions, because that's what we passed down for a home rule petition, and we're waiting for Boston to pass that out. So if we can get that act together, we'll have them all here, and that's the way it should be. But if we're going to do it, then I hope that will do it consistently throughout time. I agree with all the new counselors. I agree with the decision. When I was a new counselor in 2012, I mean, this same thing landed on me, and there were 6 of us and a 15-person board. 6 new counselors and a 15-person board. So it wasn't much different than this is now. We got on with it, but I hear the pleas, and I have no problem with it. But it's vital that we consistently do this, whether it's going to be advertised on the city homepage under City Council, on Channel 15, or wherever else you want to do it. That's free or unfree, in any kind of media or radio or newspapers. I'm sure there's lots of us that have connections to other forms of media that we can get this message out. So I'm grateful for the input. I always like to hear more, and the more you hear, the more you learn. So that being said, I agree that hopefully we can just move on with this petition, and I hope everybody understands what we're doing here. So we are, again, these are rules of City Council. So not to be pedantic, but we have to get 2/3 of us to take a vote to yank it out of committee. So we can do that with 2/3 of the body. Not a majority, with 2/3. There's a reason for these rules, why they're in place. You know, we heard, Mr. President, a little earlier, City Council, do away with all your rules. Well, I'll tell you what. Be very careful what you wish for. Because once we start doing away with rules, or every time we do away with supermajorities, they're there for a reason. And one day, you're going to be on the other side. And one day, you're going to think to yourself, oh, wait a minute. There's 7 here that died, but there's 6 of us don't want it. And should that carry the day on such an important matter? Just food for thought. That's all we're doing. It's not to be obtrusive. It's to be consistent and to be thoughtful. And sometimes these rules are there for a reason, those reasons. Thank you.
On the motion, Mr. President?
Any further discussion? Councilor Palaio. Councilor Maldonado Velez.
I just want to put...
These masks are bad. I'm sorry, Will.
Thank you, Councilor McGee. I just want to put on the record that we have 2 full city council meetings before that Monday of the reorganization that's happening in February. So we do have plenty of time. The Water Commission has been operating with 1 less commissioner for the last 6 months. I think 1 month while we make the due diligence and make sure that we appoint the proper commissioners to the positions will be fine. I will go with whatever vote we go in today, which is we take a vote in 2 weeks, but following the procedures from the past, it should go to public service so we can have the conversations and the interviews there, and we still have time to vote on these positions before the deadline that Mr. Conte gave us. So just wanted to make that note.
Thank you. Any further discussion? The motion on the floor is Councilor Israel Rivera.
I'd like to thank you again for giving me the opportunity to be here and talk. But again, I would echo what Jose just said, but at the same time, it's not that I don't want to make a decision today and that it's not an important matter, but that I would like to make an educated decision with regards to who I'm picking to serve for the next 3 years. And then another thing for me is a point of clarification real quick. We voted for Jeffery to be in, and that's a 1-year term? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we would have to vote again the next year, right?
Yes, at this moment in time, that's the way the term is.
The Water Commission is a 3-year term, right?
Yep.
One of them.
The one on the table.
1-year term?
Yeah.
Okay, yep. All right then. So then it may be for us, or a public service, they could come up with a system of a uniform system across the board so that what Mr. Bartley is saying follows across, because I'm with that too. I want it to be consistent. If it's just to be fair with everyone. So yeah, I kind of, there.
Any further discussion?
On the motion.
Okay. Motion on the floor is to remove from committee. 2/3 vote to remove anything from committee. Nothing goes into committee unless this body puts it into committee, charging the committee to come back with a recommendation to the full council. The full council meets on the 1st and 3rd Tuesdays of the month. So if it goes into committee, it would have to come back by our next meeting to get that vote in before the reorganization meeting the first Monday. Traditionally, we advertise for vacancies of the career positions and for any vacancies that we don't have candidates for. we traditionally do not advertise for positions where there's an incumbent unless there's a reason, cause, or something to remove the incumbent or to replace the incumbent. And there's a reason for that, because it's not something for debate tonight, but something that I think we all have to think about in the future, because there's been a lot of good comments made this evening. So the motion on the floor is to remove from committee. That means that we will, as individuals, get the due diligence of interviewing these candidates and talking to them about their resumes, and then hopefully vote on the positions at the next meeting. On that motion, all those in favor of removing from committee, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously, 12-0.
I make a motion that both positions be tabled until our next
Second.
meeting.
Motion made and seconded to table both positions, seconded by Councilor Bartley. We cannot debate the motion to table. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion stands table.
Make a motion that we go to the first ballot for the Whiting Street Fund.
No, second that.
Anderson-Burgos? Anderson-Burgos?
Sorry, I don't have the list here. I'm looking for it now.
So the Whiting Street Fund is currently Maria Burke, 290 Cabot Street. It's a 3-year term.
Sorry, just found it. Yep, Maria Burke.
Bartley?
Maria Burke.
Givner?
Maria Burke.
Jordan?
Maria Burke.
Maldonado Velez?
Maria Burke.
McGee?
Maria Burke.
McGivern?
The only person that understands what the Whiting Street Fund is, Maria Burke.
Oh, John Petrikowski. He knows what it is.
Murphy Ramboletti?
Maria Burke.
Coelho?
Maria Burke.
Israel Rivera?
Maria Burke.
Jenny Rivera?
Maria Burke.
Tallman?
Maria Burke.
Bacon?
Maria Burke.
Maria Burke, you appointed unanimously to Whiting Street Fund.
With your vote, you appointed Maria Burke for a 3-year term. Next is still on communications. Number 3 is
Motion
from the mayor.
receive and send that to public service, please.
Motion is
Second.
received, refer to public service. This is the confirmation. I hereby appoint Ms. Kelly Curran to the personnel administrator. That's the public service. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? 4 is from the city clerk
Motion
and
receive.
administration. This is the December 21, 2020 minutes of the meeting. I don't think they were sent out yet, so we should table it and
Motion
then
to table.
receive it.
The table.
So all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion to suspend the rules, take 5 and 6 of the package, send them to public service.
Second.
Motion is take up 5 and 6 as a pack.
Unless the president wants to leave them on the table,
Table.
because we're going to take these up shortly, so.
Yeah, it's
at
probably
least.
best. Just
So,
receive. I would just receive them.
Receive.
so motion is to take 5 and 6 as a package. So all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Motion receive.
And the motion is just to receive those.
Right.
And you'll take it up when you deal with the stuff laid on the table. All
I
those
think
in
everybody
favor?
has
Aye.
copies.
Make sure, I think everyone's got a copy, correct? Anyone not have a copy?
Yeah.
Nope.
And
Okay.
there was one that came later, and I think it went to all the counselors directly, but not through the agenda.
Okay. So all those in
Hold it.
favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 7 is from the Civil Rights Boston regarding a seat of the city
Motion
council.
to receive and send a copy to the law department.
Motion is received, sent to the law department. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 8 is a notice of community outreach. for public
Receive,
meeting
send to
for-
ordinance, please.
This is for marijuana cultivation, 475 Canal Street, so that's the ordinance. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Petition, we have a petition for a renewal of a home occupancy for
Motion to
145
approve
Brown
pending
Ave.
all the stuff is paid.
Second.
It's signed off by the treasurer. So this would be to grant the renewal for the writing business. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Isn't that a roll call?
It is a
vote,
roll
Mr.
call vote.
President?
Yeah,
And-
this
and
is a
then,
roll call.
Can we just add an amendment that we just say with any pre-existing prior conditions too, in the event there were any?
So for 9, we're going to grant the renewal, do a roll call. 1, that the taxes are current, but 2, that all precondition requirements stay with the special permit or renewal.
Thank you.
Clerk will call the roll.
Coelho?
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Tallman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson-Burgos, Bartley,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Maldonado Velez,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy Rumblety.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
With your vote, you approve that one. 10 is a petition for a marijuana
Yes, yes,
establishment at
ordinance.
120 Mill.
Ordinance.
So that'd be the ordinance. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? On to motions, orders, resolutions. 11 is from Councilor Jordan that our state delegation and mayor be invited before the Finance Committee to have a dialogue on how to improve our local aid funding formulas with the state and together develop a plan of action. Then collectively discuss our strategies on how to act upon the plan. To receive money and needs to operate effectively. So this would be to finance.
Mr. President?
Mr. President, I have point of clarification.
Sure.
And
Counselor?
Yep. So my question is, I was under the understanding that new councilors were not able to submit orders until we were actually on the council. So I'm very confused as to why there are many orders on the agenda. So I'm just asking as a point of clarification.
Yep.
And not only that, the deadline for submitting orders, the maker of the order was still an employee of the city until Sunday. So I'm not sure how we can take up these items 11 to 16 on an agenda from a maker that wasn't supposed to be making orders. I'm just really confused.
Yep,
I just want clarification around that.
Yep. So when we spoke on the phone with regards to filing orders, it was my understanding that you'd have to be sworn in first to do that. However, after consulting with the clerk, it has been tradition that new counselors could file for the first meeting because by the time they got to the first meeting, they'd be counselors. So it's just kind of in a sense of, you know, the way it's done in the past. So these are tradition the way we would receive them from a counselor who would be sworn in prior to the meeting.
Can we make it a point to make this clear for the next election so that the new councilors that come in understand that they're able to put in orders before the first meeting, even if they're not on the council? I know it's how things have been done in the past. I think that's just a cop-out. I don't think that's a good answer, but I just wanted to make that point.
No, not a problem.
So,
Councilor Vacon.
So on that point, through the chair to our new counselor, it's not something that we try to do on a regular basis, but in that spirit, if there was a particular order that any of the new counselors wanted to file that you felt you didn't because you couldn't, you could file it now. And then it will show up on the agenda next time, so you won't have to wait. You know, I mean, it will be considered filed if you wanted to submit it tonight.
Yeah, and as
Right?
discussed, I did say that you could always file a late file. We could take it up and then send it to committee accordingly.
For sure. I think it was my impression watching the meetings, late files are not the favorite of the council.
Well, they're not, but
that's the last thing I wanted to do in our first meeting.
They happen.
Oh, trust me, you'll have your share. It does happen.
Cool.
Councilor Bartley.
Yeah, I'm not going to speak on that point, although I think they're valid. I did want to make a friendly amendment that I spoke with the maker on this one already. Just instead of send to finance, you should go to DGR because there's already almost a word-for-word order already in the jacket. So.
Okay. So.
Yes, friendly amendment accepted. I'd like to send it to DGNR.
That our state delegation and mayor invite before the DGNR striking finance.
I'll third that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So 11 to DGNR. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
12, that the assessor, from Councilor Dane, that the assessor appear before the city council to discuss the current property tax exemption amounts and qualifying criteria to see if any adjustments can be and should be to ensure all that deserving residents who are qualified for the assistance get the assistance. So this one would be to finance.
Finance.
Correct, with a copy to the assessors.
Copy to the assessor.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 13 from Councilor Jordan is DPW and Sewer Commission do a study and seriously consider adopting a sewer maintenance insurance program. For the maintenance of the insurance program, the Water Department program has done a great accomplishments. So the DPW report back to the council on the findings. So you want this to send to it's receive, resend to DPW Sewer Commission, but you want it back to,
I would say the Public Safety Committee,
Public
who has
Safety?
jurisdiction over DPW.
all right,
Mr.
so
President, would you please add my name to that?
right, adding Counselor
Bartley and Tallman.
Yes, I tell.
Tallman. And this is going to, so receive to DPW. Sewer
Receive,
Commission,
adopt, refer to the DPW with a copy to the Public Safety Committee
copy
for
to
follow-up.
Public Safety. Okay, so receive, adopt, copy to Public Safety. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 14, from Councilor Dane, that the mayor be requested to hire a full-time marketing and public relations director for the city of Holyoke with the goal of improving the image of the city of Holyoke and aggressively seeking out private investments for the city. So receive, adopt, send to the mayor.
Yes, and I'd like to add Counselor Tallman as a co-sponsor,
Yeah,
please.
thank you.
Adding Counselor Tallman. So receive, adopt, send to mayor.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 15, from Councilor Jordan, the school receiver, Mr. Soto, and his team be requested to develop a formal financial literacy curriculum for the schools as a measure to increase financial literacy to students at the end of the cycle of poverty in the city.
I'd like to receive, adopt, referred to Mr. Soto with a copy to the Joint Committee on City Council and School Committee.
All right, so motion is to receive,
Second.
adopt, send to the receiver with a copy to the joint committee. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? 16, from Councilor Drain, the Holyoke Gas and Electric be requested to take any and all necessary steps to end the gas moratorium, that they report back to the City Council by April 1st, 2022, on their recommendation plan of action. This would be to bring the moratorium to the end. So are we saying receive?
Adopt, refer to the G&E with a copy to the Public Safety Committee,
All right,
or Finance, either or, whichever's
I'd say probably finance.
Finance, okay.
Yeah.
So receive,
Motion, receive, adopt, send to gas electric with a copy to finance.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That's the end of the Councilor Dane section. No, just kidding. Just kidding. All right, so next is from Councilor McGivern that $18,417.34 from several line items to injured on duty. Motion be receive, adopt, pass.
Make a
first reading.
motion to suspend the rules to receive and adopt this evening.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So this is a standard where if someone goes on injury, we take from their current line item and then put it into the injured on duty and pay it. So it's just an accounting measure that comes through us, so we get to see who and how many are injured on duty and track it accordingly. So it's a standard way of getting this accounting done. It's just moving from one box to the other. So motion is passed the first reading. Councilor McGivern.
If I could just point out to all the members of the council, but our new members, this is financial transfers and financial appropriations are actually initiated by the mayor and only by the mayor. We have a standing courtesy that whoever is the chair of the finance, I was the chair last year, was the chair of the finance, the auditor will use our name to introduce it on our agenda because we have no mechanism for the mayor through charter or through our rules to file something with us that we can debate and vote on. So it's a courtesy to allow them, and we cannot initiate an appropriation. In this case, only a department head and then the mayor can initiate the transfer. So when you see the name of the chairman of the finance, last year's chairman, you're seeing the courtesy given to the mayor to file it before us.
So here it's to pass the first reading. Councilor Jane.
Yeah, I just wanted to get one rule clarification on these. So the reason, just again, to give some of the history, especially for the benefit of the newer members, salary line item to another salary line item or expense line item to another expense line item within the same department historically never came before the vote of the city council. That was approved simply by approval of the mayor alone. If you have expense to salary, salary to expense, or going from one department to another department, always requires the city council's approval. That's under section 49 of the charter. But we passed an ordinance that said salary to salary and expense to expense does now require city council approval. That's why we're voting on these. But I did want to just nail down one point. Because it's considered now under the ordinance a change of purpose, it does invoke Section 49, the 2/3 on these. So I want to just, so we have the ground rules set up here for the beginning of the term. This is not a Section 22 issue of the charter. This is a Section 49 issue of the charter, and that this is going to, these are all going to be 2/3 majority votes under the Section 49 rule because it's a change of purpose under the ordinance. Thank you.
Councilor McGivern.
With all due respect, I interpret Section 49 differently than Councilor Jordan. Section 49, I think the law department will agree with me at some point, maybe it doesn't have to be this evening, is about bills that are being paid and expenditures that are coming from a prior year, and expenditures that are not transfers of a budget that was already passed. And that's why the first and second readings are, when we do them on the same evening, a 2/3 vote. But Mass General Law is very clear that an appropriation or a transfer, we pass a budget with a simple majority, is a simple majority.
Yep, so we'll get into that when the legal department will give us information on that.
We'll have to get a, yeah, Mr. President.
They're going to get back to us.
Okay,
I spoke
good.
with the solicitor on this in detail.
Okay.
I just don't want to get lost for new members. Really what's going on here is this is just an accounting procedure that we've been doing for, and Councilor Dane gave a little bit of the history on it. This is merely just, if you go, I'm an officer, I get injured, we're going to take from your line item, put it over on injured on duty for a different accounting procedure. So really, it's not transferring money around, it's just the way they account for it when you go on injured on duty. That's all we're doing on this one. As far as the 2/3 and everything else, we'll get into that when other matters come up. This is just an accounting procedure for this that we wanted to track, as you have stated. Councilor Vacon. Did you have your hand up?
Well,
or did I miss it? Okay.
I did, but it's a little bit off topic. But I was simply saying that I was seeking clarification and sharing information with our legal department relative to the number of votes required relative to transfers for personnel
we will-
within the same department.
Yep, they were
Because-
there. I spoke with Lisa Ball, the solicitor. She's going to have stuff for us on that.
Okay, thank you.
Because I'm not speaking to the merits. This, I'm for this. I'm just talking about
I
the process.
totally understand. I just want to make sure
Yeah.
that we don't get people lost in really what this one is about.
Sure.
When it comes to the process on other things where we might not all agree on the transfer, we'll have that legal opinion. So for this one, it's to pass the first reading. All those, Councilor Bartley, sorry.
I just was hoping that the president could point out the number. I see 1 lieutenant, 1 sergeant. I just wondering if the president knew how many patrolmen.
They didn't attach it to this one. Normally, I'll give you the number, like 5, 6 people out. It's not attached to this one at this time. But I'll follow up with Tanya and get that for you.
And then, thank you, Mr. President. Then I want to point out that the chief yesterday said that they're really holding the line on the number of officers out with COVID. Springfield, if you saw, has 10% of its department out with COVID. One last point, Mr. President. It's my understanding, and I would be glad to be, if someone was to correct me, that when a firefighter or a policeman receives an IOD payment, it is not taxed.
Correct. That's
Okay,
correct.
so I just want to state that, because sometimes that skips right by us, and I just want to point that out. Thank you.
That is correct. So, motion is to pass the first reading. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Motion to pass the second reading.
Motion is to pass the second reading. The clerk will call the roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for 17, which is the accounting procedure for injured on duty.
Puello,
Yes.
Israel Rivera,
Yes.
Jenny Rivera,
Yes.
Tolman,
Yes.
Bacon,
Yes.
Anderson-Burgos,
Yes.
Bartley,
Yes.
Givner,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Maldonado Velez,
Yes.
McGee,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Murphy Rumboletti.
Yes.
Unanimous vote.
For your vote, you approve that one. 18 for
Motion,
Councilor
Mr. President, if I can make a motion to suspend the rules and take 18, 19 as a package and refer
Second.
them to Committee on Finance.
All right, motion
Second.
to take up 18 and 19 as a package, suspend the rules. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 18 is $16,180 from Auditor to Head Clerk. 19 is $22,145.10 from Pay Investigator to Pay National Service Officer. Both to Finance. All those in favor?
Mr.
Aye.
President, just a point of information.
Sure.
I couldn't see anything in my budget book in the line for National Service Officer, just
It could be a typo.
to the committee.
Yeah, and what they'll do is look that up.
Thank you.
Counselor?
I think it's a good point, but I think when it's not funded, oftentimes it's removed from the budget, but the code still exists.
Yep, that does happen. There is no, or there
No
are
other
no late
business.
files.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
This could be a record.
All in favor?
Mr. President, point of information for the new counselors, write this in your diary. It'll probably be the shortest meeting you ever have. Have a good night.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We stand adjourned.